Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SNB Talking Sport. I'm your host, Spinksy, and as you can see, there's three of us back here this week. It's nice to have everyone back. Introducing the male model from Mawson, Mr. Bo Kennett. How are you, buddy?
Really good, man, actually. Yeah, no, real good. Apologies for not being here for last week. Had some things come up. Couldn't be here, but it's great to be back. I haven't really missed either of you. You're bad human beings, but I'm glad for the podcast that I'm here.
And just before we introduce Ness, you were involved in some advertising lately. Did you care to touch on that for us?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have a second job. I've tried to keep away from you guys, but yeah, did a little job for Cork Hill Brothers, which I had no clue what I was getting into. Basically, we just got filmed taking shit to the tip. So it's about as exciting as my life gets. How good.
Very nice, very nice. And how were you during it all? How was your night? Was it good?
Which the night before. Yeah, nah.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I haven't come down from Sydney. I haven't seen in a few years, and it's good to catch up with him. Caught up with him. Didn't catch up on sleep that night, so I had to go film a commercial.
Yes.
Very much under the weather. And with a fucking child in the ad that was a trick the entire day. It was tough.
Beautiful.
Oh.
We love that. We love that. Ness, thanks for coming back on again with us idiots. You starred in the netball over the weekend. I heard you girls had a win.
No.
Sorry,
thanks.
that was the week earlier. I've got my notes from the week earlier. I'm very sorry. Very sorry. That's not.
That's couldn't do it again. Yeah, how about that?
So you lost. Let's get going on.
Loss is an understatement.
Nice.
We're actually.
Good start.
We are 9-3 actually. No, we've had one win. Sorry. Look, we've been getting punished. Sorry, we did have a win. It seems so long ago now. A couple of weeks in, starting to just find a little bit of fitness, and now we're on a break for 2 weeks. That's just classic netball.
Weeks off.
But it's good.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have you all back.
Sorry to interrupt. I tell myself this every time on the punt. Each loss is one step closer to a big win. You'll be fine.
Okay.
It's not the way to look at it.
You know what? You got to win eventually. I think they need to replace their goal shooter, and then maybe they'll change.
Now, we've had very in-depth conversations on this show about our love and our hatred for a young female tennis star of Australian heritage, Ash Barty. Now, she retired about the week and a half ago. Is there anything you guys want to say? I've already been on my Ash Barty rant, so you guys know how I feel.
I'll kick us off. I have been very vocal on not being a fan of her as a person, but as an athlete, incredible human being. She's accomplished things which every human being in the world can only dream of. So, kudos to her on her career. She's reached heights which you would think are unreachable. So we got to give credit there. What I think of her as a person, different story, but you do have to congratulate her on what she's been able to achieve.
Do you think this kind of paves the way for athletes to maybe retire earlier? Like some guys in the NRL, you sort of go from 18 to 30-ish. But is there, if people have sort of made enough money and done what they wanted through the sport, do you find they might start to retire mid to late 20s, or are they just going to keep bashing themselves until they can't do it?
It depends what you want in life, I guess. Like she was going to be able to live a good life, I suppose. But touching on that, it depends what you want in life. She can retire and probably live a okay life. Athletes in general are 1%ers. I think you have a very small opportunity to make as much money as you can, which is why In the NRL and the NFL, I'm always a big fan of players forcing, I suppose, their role and get as much money as you can while you can, because you don't really have that opportunity for too long. So I think I don't think it's a good idea to retire, but if she's a simple person and she can live off the money she has, she'll still be able to do things to create an income and she'll be fine. But no, I think to answer your question in general, I don't think that's the way of the athlete moving forward.
Nest, do you think this is the last time we see her, or will she be coming back to tennis or golf or cricket or having babies, or what's next?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think maybe we see a bit of a difference in people retiring, whether they're male or female, and obviously females needing to go off and do what they've got to do in their next chapter of life. I don't know if we've seen the last of her. I don't get the sense that she's, she'll launch back into commentating tennis or anything like that. I don't take her as someone who might coach or do anything like that in the sport either. Maybe we'll see her back. I don't know. Golf. Did she just play a golf tournament on the weekend and won 30
and everyone went off? She's coming back to golf. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. So I can't see her going back to cricket. There's certainly, and we'll touch on it later, but there's probably not a spot for it in the Aussie team anyway at the moment, because they're just dynamite. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we've seen the last of her. I think just generally, of course, she's won a few of the majors, but I think if you're sort of there and you're winning a couple, do you not just want to take them all out and win them completely? I think for me, that would be my goal, but obviously she had a different idea.
Look, let's turn our attention to the rugby league at the moment, because my Cronulla Sharks are on fire. Before I get started, Josh, our producer, is going to stick up a photo on the screen at the moment. Now, if you guys can see this, the Sharks are 3-1 to start the season, but we've lost our opening game of the season against the Raiders here in town, and I lost a bet. So I had to dress up like this, as you can see, get my makeup and hair done by the children, and attend the Raiders pub on Saturday night. And it went down rather well at the time. I was wearing a bit of a sign on me that said I've lost a bet. But I copped a bit of stick from most of the Raiders fans at the pub, who ended up getting thrashed by Manly on the night. So look, delivery. Thanks. So let's touch on the rugby league. My Sharks are on fire, but did you guys happen to catch the Roosters game on, I think it was Friday night? The Latrell Mitchell got fat. I don't know what he's been eating, but you could see his gut through his shirt, and they had to. I watched two dudes in the change room have to help him with his jersey on. Oh, I'm serious. You need to go very fat, and I can say that I'm allowed to.
You know my feelings about Latrell. I will keep them strictly to his football ability, and I don't like him, and that's fine. But it was nice to see. Look, it was nice to see South lose. Did South lose? Yeah.
Yeah, Souths are in
cut
big
that out.
trouble. Souths are in big trouble. I think they're 1-3. But the Roosters are starting to hit a bit of form, Ness. I think that they've had 3 in a row now. So they're starting to look very good. I think they had a huge win yesterday. So they've moved up to a second or third, I think. Things are looking back up for you boys.
Yeah, I think so. We've probably had a stable-ish kind of group over the last couple of weeks, but Teddy said that he hasn't played very well in the last couple of games, and he's sort of owned that, which I think is all you can ask for as a leader. And if you're honest, he hasn't had a great couple of games. So whatever sort of that is probably not used to having people on his team anymore, because they played with the reserve grades for the last season. So maybe that's a bit of an adjustment, but yeah, nice to see the Chookies in some winning form.
And the Newcastle Knights have come back to earth after winning the first 2 games of the season. They got demolished by the Sharks was it Thursday night? Thursday or Friday night? Last week, I think it was 18-0 in the end. It's always nice to keep a team scoreless. It helps with our for and against as we go forward. But, Bo, what's happening with your Knights? I know you want to sort of touch on it later, but give us a brief rundown now.
Yeah, I'll touch on it now. I think hitting back to reality is kind of accurate. I still think we're way better than anyone ever would have thought. And going to that game, and I got to give props to Cronulla. I reckon Cronulla's now like a top 4 team Like you really can't deny how.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can't. No, you can't. Like, I mean, pop your losses where you need to, but in all honesty, it's like you can't tell me Cronulla isn't the most informed team in the competition, maybe apart from Penrith. But man, you've got a good team. No one expecting to gel this well. And we did lose a guy when we're down 8-0 to a stupid. He got sent off.
That was dumb.
On a really ridiculous penalty. So the game's kind of in the air at that stage. But I don't know. I still have the same hope. Maybe there's a little better for us. Maybe the top 8 is in reach. But it's cool for all of us on the pod. All teams are looking pretty well, and Newcastle being 2-2 with the worst record, I suppose. But we're all looking kind of up. And Nest, the Roosters, yeah, it's going to be good for you. You guys, unreal team on paper. They'll take a few weeks to gel. I don't imagine the Roosters will be in their kind of best form until maybe another 4 to 6 weeks, but the Roosters will be thereabouts. Cronulla is a huge surprise. You can't say anything bad about them. They just look really, really good. So
look, I want to talk about the Socceroos, but I'm going to save that for later. And we also want to touch on the Formula One in Melbourne this weekend, but I will skip over those now because I know they're coming up a bit later. Let's talk some NFL. Now, the NFL offseason has been absolutely ridiculous. You've got hundreds of millions of dollars of money, but every year it seems to be crazier and crazier. We sort of touched on a few of them the last couple of weeks, but Bo, your Colts have done nothing in the offseason except get rid of a quarterback that was horrible. And now you brought in Matty Ryan from the Falcons. How do you feel about Matty Ryan coming to your Colts? And will you go 0-17 next year?
Well, I'm going to touch firstly on the getting rid of the awful quarterback, which is true. We got rid of also an awful quarterback. And it's very rare in the NFL to see a team make a huge decision at quarterback, and 1 year later be like, no, we made the wrong decision. Because you see teams and they stick with their quarterback, and it's a bit of like a big dick, like, no, I don't want to admit I'm wrong. And we did, and we admitted we were wrong. And we kind of got something back for him, so Carson Wentz he was going to get cut, and we managed to get a third round and a second round pick out of him, and for Washington to take his entire contract on. So,
which is dumb. That's so dumb.
It's fucking huge. So kudos to our front office there. As much as they've been kind of hammered for what they did bring him in, they've done well to kind of fuck him off. And we're not paying his salary, and we've just brought in Matt Ryan, who I'm probably less excited about compared to the rest of the football committee. I don't know what's to like. He's 37. He's an average quarterback. He did win an MVP in 2016, but you look at his numbers and it was just not a great year for most MVP runners. So he went like 37 and double-digit interceptions off the top of my head. So he's not going to set the world alight. I don't want to go into too much detail because I'm just a football nerd. I could go way into detail about and shit that no one wants to hear. But I think where Carson Wentz, our previous quarterback, went wrong is like he'll change the play at the line a lot. And that's his job as the quarterback. You got to see what's in front of you and change the play to whatever's going to suit. But when he changes the play, we've got a pretty good coaching staff. So when he changes the play, more often than not, it was to a worse situation. So I don't think we're going to get that with Matt Ryan, but we still don't have people around him really to support an older person, 37 years old, to really make this team flourish. But I don't know. There's a bit of hope there.
I think he's going to be a lot more stable for you, and it's not going to make so many stupid errors. And you've got a running back who is electric, who will probably score most of your touchdowns anyway. So Matty's probably not going to need to throw as much as he was with the Falcons. So all going well. Hopefully you get a couple of good seasons out of him, and we see you in the finals sometime soon. So
that'd be bloody beautiful.
Now let's talk about the girls this morning. They won. Was it this morning? Yesterday. Yesterday. The Aussie women's team has won the ODI final against England. Now, we spoke about this a couple of weeks back. It was their competition to lose, but they destroyed everyone they came up against. They set a record for the highest chase against the Indians. They went on to smash the West Indies. I think they beat the Pakistanis in the semi, and then they smashed England yesterday. Now, they set England 350 runs, I believe, which was the highest ODI total. And Alyssa Healy scored 170. How can the girls be beaten? Like, they're just unbelievable at everything that they touch. The ODIs, the T20s, the test matches. It seems like there's no one that's anywhere near them.
You're exactly right, and no one really is. They're sort of sitting at the top of the tree, and everyone is absolutely the bottom. So I don't know what sort of knocks them off the perch. I really don't, because they're just firing in every sense of it. I don't know. I think there was some nervousness because they did lose their first game, and everyone sort of went into panic mode, as sort of happens with big tournaments. But I don't think there was any doubt that they would come back stronger. And, Alyssa Healy, 170, that's just massive. So she goes ahead of Ponting and Gilchrist in breaking that record. So just huge. And she's just such an athlete. It seems that she plays in Canberra though, and she completely chunks it. So she can't seem to score any runs at Monica Oval, but when it matters, she steps up, and she will go down as just one of the best, if not the best, Australian women's cricket player that ever has played.
So I heard this morning from Michael Clark, and he said she is the best wicket keeper the game's ever seen, female or male.
Yeah,
and he said that's without her batting. She said just the keeping side of it, she's the best.
And a really good human too.
Oh, geez, so important. No, I'm kidding. But in all honesty, I'd like to just another shout out to the top scorer in a World Cup final out in any situation, male or female. There's not enough credit you can give to her there. That's a huge knock, and that's amazing. So congratulations to her and to the Aussies.
Let's briefly touch on the netball now. The Super Netball has started here in Australia. My Swifts are 0-2. Had a terrific injury. About that. I know. My team's. I can't be good at everything. Okay, my team's 0-2 to start the season. Ness, your Vixens are 2-0. You guys are flying. We've had a few injuries in my team, but this might be a down year for us. Let's just say COVID's come back around again.
Yeah, it has. Look, it is so nice to have more wins already than we did last year. So I'm so chuffed. It was so hard watching the Vixens suck last year. So, and when they beat the Swifts, I'm just the happiest person ever. I didn't actually watch the game, but everyone, all of my Swifts friends just conveniently were very quiet on Saturday night. So, I only actually got to watch the game today. And you know what? Credit to the Swifts, they came back. They've lost their star goal shooter, Sammy Wallace. So she has an ACL injury. They are going to struggle now in that shooting circle. So,
it's going to be a long season for the Swifts. But let's talk South Gungahlin netball now. And now, so I know your team is 1-2, but my daughter's under 8's team. They are 3-0 to start the season. They had another win last week. They won 12-1. They are wiping the floor with the competition. So if you get a chance, get down to Lynham netball courts at 8:30 on a Saturday morning. Not for the next 3 weeks because we're on holiday, but get back there on the 30th of April. The girls are on fire, and you get sausages and everything. So.
Oh, Spinks, a shout out to the girls I coach because they are 3-0 as well, and they beat a team who is a year and a half older than them on the weekend.
Nice.
So I can't even coach them on a Saturday. I get 45 minutes with them a week, and I'm just beyond proud of them. So
that's so cool.
They've been smoking teams for the last.
But you can coach. That's what we're learning.
That is exactly right. Yeah. Apparently we're shooting really well, so they're not learning that from me.
Now before your battery dies, let's get into good, bad, and ugly. Now, Ness, you've got the good this week. What do you got for us?
I'll charge ahead super quick. So this is actually from last week because we did take a little pause while the male model from Mawson had other things to attend to. I just want to shout out to Buddy Franklin, and AFL is not a sport that I ever really grew up with, but I am starting to learn a bit more about it. To get 1,000 goals is a huge achievement, and the scenes that we saw at the SCG were just pretty much some of the most incredible bits of vision that you'll probably ever see in a sporting arena. He's the 6th player ever to do that. So incredible scenes, an amazing achievement and a great career. And, hopefully he just goes from strength to strength. I do compare it to, that was the scene that we saw for someone that scored 1,000 goals. And then the following week in netball, one of the imports shot 1,000 goals, and the commentator was literally, and that's 1,000 goals. What a great achievement. And then it was just on. And there was just absolutely no fanfare at all for all that comparison.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, as much as that is just such an incredible achievement and something that, very few people will ever have the opportunity to achieve, a little part of me died because, like, to have that many people running onto the field in COVID, potential for things to be left on the field that players are going to fall and trip on.
The ashes.
Someone scattering their parents' ashes on the field. Like, there is just so much bad that the security aspect, the potential for him to be taken out, like everything. From a sports venue manager over here, like, a little part of me had a freak out. I'm not going to lie, but take nothing away from Buddy Franklin and an amazing
just so you all know, I'd love to have my ashes scattered on the MCG. That'd be fantastic. So if you guys could organise that for me, thank you.
If you said Monica Oval, I could maybe help.
Yeah, I found it.
Wait, it was organised by security that was allowed.
It's actually really topical, and we kind of sit with them without going into the tin tacks of it. But look, the CEO from AFL came out going, it wouldn't be a bad thing if everyone just ran out onto the field. But they're meant to be in they're meant to be in COVID protocols. You're not ever meant to go on a field. There's meant to be fines that are issued. You can be imprisoned for it. So they've sort of set a precedent for it now, and they have to roll with that. But I am very happy that was not at our venue.
I still remember when Tony 6,000 for the Swans, they invaded the field then. So, and Gary Ablett Senior and Dunstall and
Doug Wade,
and there's another one I can't.
Gordon Coventry. I had to write this down.
There you go. See, I got 4. Not bad.
Doing their homework.
Someone does their homework on the show, not me.
Don't
right. Righto, Bo. Before your battery dies, what's your bad this week?
The nerd over here.
Everyone, I have 5% battery and no charger. So if I leave you all,
that's why.
Good to talk to you all. But my bad is really honing in on the NRL, and I was tossing up between 2 things and I just couldn't. So I'm going to be greedy. I'm a prick. This is my normal Saturday night, by the way. I thought I'd bring that in. No, sorry, that's super inappropriate. We're a professional podcast and we will take that out. So no, my bad. 1A is the bunker in the NRL, and the bunker's kind of been hated since it's been brought in, as much as it's been good in a few ways. But a few things that I just really want to touch on is we stop the game all the time. The bunker comes in, stops a game. They stop the game like 3-4 tackles back because something's happened. But you see a couple of times, and especially in the Tigers game last week, because we didn't get to talk about it, there was a try for the Tigers. The Tigers don't score many tries where Lucy's, what I call him, Luciano Leilua, has got to the ball in the in-goal, and he's grounded it with all kind of odds against him. And the referees are just being like, nah, we don't reckon he's put it down. Like, we'll go out to the 20 and we'll play on. Where they showed a replay and they showed it in slow motion, and it's still kind of a 50-50. I would probably say it probably was a try, but you can't stop the game all the time and then not stop the game when there's a 50-50 about scoring a try. And we see it, things like that, a bit too much, considering how much they want to stop the game. And then even more of a bigger thing that just pisses me off is at the moment, so there's some rules, and I've kind of looked into it, and the bunker can stop the game at the moment this year. It's a new rule they've brought in, and there's kind of categories about stopping the game about someone that's had a head knock. and there's grades, right? So if the bunker calls like I don't know what they actually call it, but grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 stoppage. Grade 1 is they've seen a guy get hit and the referee hasn't seen it from a head knock, and it's so bad that they're just going to take him off, which is a safety precaution. I get it, but they still get taken off and do the HIA assessment. So someone gets taken off because the bunker said, no, grade 1, he can't come back, but he still passes the test. So they've just got their decision wrong. But because they've got it wrong and they've committed to that, the player doesn't have the right to get back on the field, which fucks the team. It doesn't matter what position the guy plays, but he can no longer come back on the team because the bunker has seen him stumble. And there was Billy Smith that happened to, which is a Roosters winger or center. It happened to him, which is the first time I was like, hang on a second, like this is pretty shit. And I got the guy in Super Coach, so it hurts me way more than anyone else. And then, secondly, we saw just last week, Kurt Mann got taken off on a HIA because he struggled to get up after a tackle. But he struggled to get off because he got hit in the dick. So like
that was it.
He's in agony because he's been hit in a spot. It's hard for anyone to get up off of that. And then he's had to go serve 15 minutes in the HIA protocols, but can't come back onto the field for something that is just not what the whole idea of the bunker is for. And in the NRL, like taking one player off, whether it's for the game or it's for 15 minutes, there's a lot of strategy at the moment in how to manage your guys that come on and come off and your rotation. And maybe it's something coaches will learn about how to adjust for it. But having a guy taken off and can't come onto the field, even though he passed the HIA, and then having a guy come off the field because he got hit in the nuts and stayed down, that's a fucking gripe. And it's at the moment, it's costing teams games, which is the last.
Ruining the game.
So that's my gripe. I hate it. I like the idea of the bunker, but I think I'm a big advocate, which I don't know, maybe I'm just too old school, of just kind of let the game go on, and refs are going to make bad decisions. The bunkers, but maybe the game would be better off without the bunker. Is my last comment.
I'd
agree with you there.
Yeah, I had a comment about something, but I was a bit distracted there. Sorry. My comment was, if the referee on the field, the try gets scored or not scored, he sees it or he doesn't, why does he have to make a decision before he sends it upstairs? If you didn't see it, like say there's like 10 dudes on top of him, he's like, oh, I think it's a no try, send it upstairs. Why does he have to make the call to send it upstairs? Why can't he just...
Well, because otherwise he can just sit there and do every angle in every emotion.
I get that, but you could also do that and let the game maybe carry on for 10 or 20 seconds and then come back if it's a try or whatever. I don't think you need to necessarily make that decision, because sometimes I've seen it given where the referee's like, no try, goes upstairs and the ref's like, oh, I can't really tell. And I'm like, I can see that he's scored. So I know they need more camera.
I don't know. I'm with you on that. I really hate the idea of letting the game play on, because even in that 20 seconds, that can control how a team's going to play the game.
Yeah.
But I am maybe a fan of just the ref being able to be like, dude, I didn't see fucking shit. Like, I don't know. And then go to the bunker and then just have maybe a time. Maybe the bunker's got a minute to make a decision, or maybe they can only watch it in normal motion, not in slow motion. Something like that. I wouldn't want to see the game get played on and then bring it back to be like, hey, there's been a try here or not. But I'm with you on, if the ref doesn't see, it's kind of shitty on everyone for him to be like, well, I'm going to call it a try, even though I've got no idea.
Yeah, we see that delay in soccer, right? Like with the VAR, and it's horrible because they let it go on and then they bring it right back. And as a viewer, you don't even know it. It just is it's such a delay. It disrupts all of the play. I kind of want to see the ref just make a call. And then I think they've brought in technology to try and help. So yeah, for instances where they really haven't seen anything, then I guess then that's what your bunker comes in for. That's how I would like to see it.
And perfect segue right there to my ugly, because I want to talk about soccer.
Hey, I've got a 1B. Don't cut me off here.
He's got 1B.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too. Very sorry about that.
Yeah.
Very sorry about that.
So if you just rewatch, I did say I had two things. Yeah, I know you weren't listening, but that's okay. Yeah, no. So my 1B, and it's only just came out yesterday, maybe today. So Brisbane Broncos players Payne Haas and Albert Kelly there's been a video surfaced of them getting in a punch on with each other. So this is two teammates, one being a front rower, one being a halfback. So there's like a 120 kilo dude versus like an 80 kilo dude. And it's not really a punch up. It's kind of more of like a jersey, like you'd see in the Aussie rules, like jersey, grab it and kind of a swinging hand. But bad because Payne Haas has the opportunity to become, I would say.
Oh, we lost him. He's gone. Yes. See you, Bo.
It is beautifully frozen on my screen.
He's just gone. He's frozen on mine too. Right, and that's all the time we have for Bo. Thanks, Bo, for joining us. All right, well, now it's time to my ugly. We'll talk about soccer in this country. The Socceroos. I've been a massive soccer fan, Ness, as you know. I think I played from when I was about 7 till about like 17 or something, right? And I've always loved the game. I was there when the Socceroos beat Uruguay to get into the World Cup all those years ago, and I've been a huge fan of the sport for a very long time. But my interest has been waning a bit the last couple of seasons, and the Socceroos aren't doing as well as we would like. There's still a chance to get into the World Cup itself, but the A-League in this country is also falling off the perch. I think they're about 15, 16 years into the A-League now, and the first few years the comp was strong. They were getting 5 to 10, 15,000 at games. The derbies were selling out. There was Western Sydney derby a couple of weeks back. They would have been lucky to be 1,500 fans there at the game. I don't know what the answer is, but soccer is dying in this country, and it's a bad thing. It's hard for me to sort of see a sport I've loved fall off the perch so hard. The participation numbers in people under the age of 18, it's still the most popular sport in the country. Soccer is obviously a non-contact sport, so more parents like to see their children in that sport. But once you hit 18 and over, soccer used to be probably the third sport in the country, say AFL league, and then soccer. And now it seems to be the basketball's in there too. Even the unions starting to sort of come back a bit now, and soccer's really dying in the arse. And we grew up in soccer households, and we're still big fans of the game. And I don't know the answer, but something needs to happen. And I think if we miss out on the World Cup this year, it's only going to get worse going forward. So I don't know what we do, but I'm very not happy about it at the moment.
You're spot on. And so we absolutely are, both from football families, and it's really hard to watch. It's really hard. And we've kind of joked about the fact that Socceroos are not performing, but you kind of get to this point where you think they're actually not going to qualify for the World Cup. And we've seen Italy fall off. They're not there for the next World Cup. I truly can't see Australia qualifying at this point. They just have it seems like they have no connection on the park. There's no attack, there's no defense, there's no midfield. If not for Matt Ryan, who has saved about 50 goals, it would be a much worse situation that we're in. And I think from the grassroots up, Spinks, you're absolutely right. It is the most participated sport for juniors, absolutely, in the country. And it has a huge female following too now. The Matildas are doing amazingly. But it was really hard, actually. And I don't know if you caught the previous game when we lost against Japan, and the commentators after were so scathing. So Mark Milligan was there, Luke Wilkshire, and they were just completely horrific in terms of the way that they were talking about the Socceroos. But it was kind of warranted in a sense, because, I guess what they talked a lot about was that the pride in the jersey is not there anymore. And I think that's 3/4 of the issue. Is there were people who are not making themselves available. It seems like the coach, who I also feel for that, for the coach. There's a lot that gets put on a national coach in football. Other than every other sport doesn't seem to attract the same criticism. And I think the worst idea they ever came up with was that he wouldn't lead them to the next game to finish off the World Cup campaign. Like to change a coach now is just, we may as well throw the towel in and walk away. I mean, that's just so unfair to him. He's contracted, let him ride it out. Cool, he hasn't potentially achieved the results and the outcomes that we've wanted. But that comes down for me to the players. These, we talk about it a lot. These are sports professional people who are earning a lot of money, and they need to take some ownership into their own on-field performance. For mine, they're all playing overseas. They've got enough quality experience to carry them through. It's just they play for the national team and it all falls apart. So I don't know how much the coach who only sees these players for a really short window of time,
weeks, each time.
How do you make that work? And I talked about it earlier. I'm a coach and I have 45 minutes a week with my girls to make it happen. They're just amazing and they do a great job, but they're doing it as a team. I think there's that team unity in the Socceroos. It doesn't exist. But what's going to start to happen is what we've seen in the Wallabies and with rugby union, is that a failure at the top just completely transpires to juniors falling off and not loving the sport, and that will really be devastating. So,
like back in the day when we qualified for Germany back in 2006, all the Socceroos were starting in the Premier League, and you don't see that as much now. There's more here in the A League, but I don't think the standard of talent that we have is necessarily as strong as it once was. And as you said, the guys don't spend enough time together, so it's hard for them. And injuries happen too. But FIFA, the most corrupt organisation in the world, have decided to up the World Cup from 42 teams to, I think, 48 or something ridiculous like that for the next World Cup in 4 years' time. So chances are we'll get in that one easily because we are in that top sort of tier. But I don't want to do that. I want us to be in there. The last couple of times that we have where we've been not at this stage, and we now have to have a one-off game against we just check the UAE in June, and then we have to play the 5th ranked South American team, which will probably be Colombia, and we're not up to that. We're not up to that standard at all. So we'll probably get beaten there and miss out on that final spot at the World Cup. But look, something needs to
do you know what though? When you actually, if you take away the fact that it's Australia that's on the edge of not qualifying here, and the fact that my Italian heritage means that I'm not watching Italy in the World Cup, it's great to see other countries actually making the World Cup. It's actually really great to see that the standard across the rest of the world is I guess improving that little bit. It just stinks at the moment because it's, for me, it's two countries who I'd absolutely love to support in the World Cup, and one hasn't qualified and one is looking unlikely. So I guess the flip of it's great.
A few years back, it was the English that missed out, and look, and this time it's the Italians that missed out. So I think these things happen, but for us, we kind of rely on us being there to sort of help the sport to keep going the way it is. So hopefully,
and there's huge powerhouses in the sport who are not qualifying. That's a huge hit to the wallets of FIFA. So Italy not qualifying, I joke that it's devastated our family, but the reality is, love or hate the Italians, people tune in and watch their games in World Cups because they're renowned to succeed. And so them not being there financially from an event lens is a massive thing for FIFA not to have them there. So not even the most corrupt organisation in the world could make them qualify.
Could not make them in there. Right, let's talk about what's happening this weekend in sport. The NRL, the AFL, the Super Rugby and the netball will all continue. The NBA heat is heating up. There's only a few more rounds left in the basketball over in the States. My Lakers are getting their ass kicked every single week. So they need to do something about it. But there are two huge events this weekend. Ness, you are going to the Formula One in Melbourne. Are you excited?
I cannot wait. We've been talking about this for so long, so it's finally here. It's race week. If you don't follow Daniel Ricciardo on any socials, then get amongst it because he's just gone crazy. He's great. It's great that he's home. So really excited. Head down on Friday and we'll be there for qualifying and race day. So bring it on.
Think about race day. I've been training for about 6 or 7 months now for my half marathon, and it's on Sunday morning. So if you're in Canberra, trying to get down to the finish line at King Edward Terrace at about 11 a.m, I should be crossing the finish line. If you bring a stubby, that'd be great too. So I think I'll probably need one. I've done the distance now.
I'm so devastated. I'm going to miss it, Spinks.
Yeah, look, I've done the distance now, so I think I'll be okay on the day. But the nerves are starting to kick in this week, and I'm starting to get in my own head about it. So, but yes, I'm all set to go. I'm going to pick up my race gear on Saturday during the day, get myself a haircut to look fresh when I run, and so all kicks off on Sunday morning. So we'll see. Yeah. Should be good.
Is the haircut to look good, or is it like that little bit of extra aerodynamicness for the run?
Run faster. Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah, we went to
whatever it takes.
We went to school with a guy whose name won't be mentioned at the moment, but he thought he was a nice, fast sprinter. So he waxed his he waxed his himself, so he was faster because some of the athletes do that. We'll talk about that after.
All right, we will.
Not me.
Well,
no.
Spinks, good luck. Good luck
you.
for your race. Maybe in the comments when all of our millions of fans watch this podcast later on, they can give you some tips on what songs to make you cross that finish line a little bit quicker. So
yes, and
I'll be thinking of you. I'll be
so
700 beers in Melbourne, but I'll be thinking
the things I thought would be sore. Obviously, my legs were sore when I finished the 21Ks last weekend, just to make sure I could do it. The legs were sore, my lower back was sore, but you know what hurt the most? My fucking nipples. Fucking nipples were killing me. They were so hard and they were so red, and it was horrible. And I knew this happened, but I didn't think the first time doing it was bad. And so I was walking around all day like this, just holding my boobies. It was bad. Yes, I need Band-Aids.
Folks,
Vaseline
anything
or something.
flies.
Some tips.
Anything flies on this podcast.
It was bad. It was very bad. Very nice. Well, look, thank you to everyone.
I hope you've addressed that problem for the week.
I haven't yet, but I'm going to for this weekend, so I'm all set, ready to go. Thank you to everyone for joining in. Ness, thank you for being here, and to the male model from Mawson whose laptop died because he's hopeless. Yeah. Thanks. So good. All right, guys. Ness won't be here next week. He should be recovering in Melbourne and then heading back home to Griffith. But me and Bo will be here. So we'll see you guys all again next week. Hooray.